Hello Send Me Radio family. Peace, love, and blessings. Today we are going to explore the Uganda's trillion-dollar silence. Remember to share, love, and subscribe to Send Me Radio. In 2022, the world barely noticed when Uganda made a discovery that could have rewritten global economics. Beneath its soil lay 31 million tons of gold ore, holding over 320,000 tons of refined gold. Estimated value? A staggering $12.8 trillion. That's not a typo. That's more gold than all known reserves held above ground across the world combined. Uganda, once considered a gold importer, was suddenly the potential epicenter of global wealth. The find was confirmed through aerial and geophysical surveys and was hailed, quietly, as the largest gold discovery in recorded human history. But instead of the national jubilation you might expect, instead of new hospitals rising from the ground, instead of every Ugandan child receiving free education and electricity reaching the furthest village, a silence fell. No presidential address. No national consultations. No headlines across local media. Just gold. Quietly leaving the country. 5,000 kilograms every single day. Since the discovery, mining operations, led by Chinese firms, have been extracting 5,000 kilograms of gold per day. At current market prices, that's $350 million a day, $127 billion a year, and over $383 billion in just 3 years. Uganda is entitled to a 15% equity stake in these projects. That should equal over $57 billion in public wealth, enough to transform the entire region. And yet, in Karamoja, where much of the gold lies, children still walk miles for water. Clinics are understocked. Schools operate without electricity. Farmers live on subsistence crops, while planes fly overhead, full of gold they'll never touch. This isn't just a scandal. It's a betrayal of possibility. Why didn't Uganda mine its own gold? When pressed, government officials say Uganda lacks industrial infrastructure, high-tech refinery equipment, trained personnel, access to global buyers. So they turn to foreign investors for fast capital and logistics support. But in exchange for that speed, Uganda traded long-term sovereignty. And history tells us what happens next. When foreign companies control the mines, local people lose the land, lose the profits, and too often, lose their voice. The real cost: environmental, social, and economic. This deal isn't just about missed opportunity, it's about mounting risks. Environmental damage. Mining operations leave behind toxic waste, degraded land, and poisoned rivers. Uganda's rural communities, many of whom rely on small-scale farming, are the first to suffer. This comes in various forms, most common is land displacement. People living on gold-bearing land have been evicted, sometimes without fair compensation. In Karamoja and Bija, tensions are rising due to revenue loss. Even if Uganda earns $19 billion a year from its 15% stake, that figure can shrink due to several factors, such as inflated operating costs, offshore accounting, corruption, and mismanagement. This wealth may be leaving not just through gold bars, but through bank transfers no one can trace. Do Ugandans even know? That's the hardest part of this story. Most Ugandans don't know they're sitting on trillions. There's been no national awareness campaign, no town hall meetings, no effort to inform the very people standing on top of unimaginable wealth. In a country with one of the youngest populations in the world, how can future leaders protect their inheritance if they don't even know it exists? This is how Africa continues to be stripped of its inheritance, not through war or invasion, but through silence and secrecy. This is not just about Uganda, this is the bigger African story. Congo's cobalt, powering phones and electric cars across the globe, while Congolese children dig with bare hands. Nigeria's oil, fueling foreign economies while local villages burn candles. Ghana's bauxite, South Africa's platinum, Zambia's copper. Africa has the minerals. But who has the money? Foreign companies extract. Local politicians negotiate. And the people stay poor. This isn't just a resource curse. It's a system. A design. A model that keeps Africa feeding the world, while starving itself. But let's be clear, this is not just about resources. Wealth in the ground means nothing without wisdom above it. This is about leadership, true leadership, that takes what lies beneath and turns it into education, hospitals, roads, and opportunities. It's not the gold that lifts a nation. It's the vision. It's the courage to say, our people come first. Resources can start an economy, but only leadership can build one that benefits everyone. To illustrate this, consider the story of a garbage truck driver who won $6 million in the lottery. Overnight, he bought luxury cars, a mansion, and began living a lavish lifestyle. No consideration for the future. Through investment for his family. But within a year, the money was gone, and he found himself back behind the wheel of the same garbage truck. And all his dreams he carried also fell in the garbage truck. The moral of the story? Wealth without leadership, vision, and discipline leads back to where you started. The same applies to nations. Trillions in resources mean nothing without a plan to use them wisely. What needs to happen now? If Uganda is to break this cycle, it must 1. Publicly release all mining contracts and revenue statements. 2. Launch education campaigns to inform citizens of their resource rights. 3. Ensure fair compensation to communities where mining occurs. 4. Reinvest mining profits in healthcare, roads, education, and water. 5. Train and empower Ugandan engineers, geologists, and economists to manage their own future. Because ownership isn't just about what's underground. It's about who stands above it and who controls it. The richest poor nation. Uganda holds enough gold to restructure the African economy. It should be the financial backbone of East Africa, a symbol of African wealth used by Africans, for Africans. But without bold leadership, real transparency, and grassroots awareness, this gold may become just another ghost story. Another lost legacy. Another plane of riches vanishing into the sky. Let the people rise. Let the voices speak. Let the gold stay in the hands of those who live above it. Uganda's Economic Condition 2025 Overview. 1. Economic growth. Uganda's GDP is projected to grow by 6.2% in 2024-2025. Oil production beginning in 2025 is expected to raise it to 10.4% by 2027. GDP stands at $153.7 billion. 2. Poverty and income. 42% of Ugandans live below the poverty line of $2.15 a day. GDP per capita is just $1,208, far below the global average of $10,589. 3. Employment. Nearly 70% work in agriculture, mostly subsistence farming. Formal jobs are limited, especially for youth. 4. Infrastructure and services. In rural Uganda, access to clean water, electricity, and quality healthcare is still scarce. Many classrooms remain overcrowded and under-resourced. 5. Inflation and policy. Inflation has dropped from 8% to 3.2%, aided by food price stabilization and tighter policy controls. Conclusion. While Uganda's economy grows on paper, millions still face hardship on the ground. The disconnect between national wealth and daily life is glaring, and the time to close that gap is now. You've been listening to Send Me Radio, where faith meets truth and Africa rises. Share this message. Start the conversation. Be part of the awakening. Send Me Radio, faith, truth, Africa rising.